There's some real ghosts at Fenway that I was just sort of thrilled to be standing on the other side of the fence from where they played.
Oh yeah,
Ted Williams, George Sisler, and Tris Speaker, Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth. All of those guys were playing there back in the day.
And that's Jim Nelson, one of the longtime personalities on 88.5 KCSN and now on 91.9 KRVM. And last time we're talking about how he got into radio, and we left off with his passion, which is also a passion of mine, the great American pastime. Now, this is going to kind of date the interview, but where were you when the Dodgers won the World Series about 4 weeks ago now?
This is going to date things.
Well,
yeah, I thought we were going way back in time. I was actually at a BJ's restaurant in the bar, watching it on a huge giant screen TV that was about 4 feet in front of me, and it was a blast.
What a game it was! I had to work till like 6:00 that evening, so I decided to join my best friend at Hollywood and Highland and their outdoor venue. And when I got in my car, the Dodgers were losing 5-0. I'm like, okay, do I really want to go down to Hollywood in this traffic with a score that lopsided? But then as I was traveling to the venue, they kept scoring, and then by the time I got there, the game was tied. So I was like, okay, we got a game here. And oh my goodness, it was such excitement.
How far away were you?
I was in Glendale, so it took me about 45 minutes, which I guess isn't too bad during rush hour, but still, it was still exciting to hear it on the radio, what was going on, since they were able to create the word picture of what had happened. And then, of course, there's now all the memes that Aaron Judge is going to be there for New Year's in Times Square to have the ball drop. That was probably the biggest joke around. That would be funny if he actually did show up, just to kind of like, poke fun at himself.
That would be wild. Take a pretty confident and ego-less person to be able to do that, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And
that's funny.
So, how many Dodger? Well, now that you're in Oregon, not so many. But when you were down here, how many Dodger games did you usually attend each year?
Not as many as you might think. I would say typically 2 to 4 games a year, every year since probably around 1967, 68, something like that. I didn't miss a season until I moved to Texas. I lived in Dallas for 2 years, and I went to Rangers games while I was there. And then when I got back, I didn't miss any more games or many more seasons at Dodger Stadium until the pandemic. And that was the last time I had a chance to go to Dodger Stadium was before the pandemic.
Yeah, since then they've renovated the outfield pavilions, and it actually still looks very nice. They didn't bastardize the look of it. It's just beforehand the pavilions were the least friendly for the disabled customers, but now it's probably the most friendly area for those who have limited mobility.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
They've got elevators going up. They've got restrooms on each level. But it still looks really nice. Plus, they're right now this season, they're renovating the locker rooms. Because I remember about a dozen years ago when they did the full renovation of the stadium after Magic Johnson, Stan Kasten, and the Guggenheim Group bought the stadium or bought the team. They had excavated the locker rooms because they used to have like the most cramped locker rooms and, well, some of the most. And
I remember,
so they made the Dodger locker room 2 to 3 times larger. Got 2 batting cages, a weight room, sauna, spa, offices for the coaches, as well as a press room. And then the visitor side actually got 2 locker rooms on that side, so that way when they had exhibition games, you didn't even have to worry about using the Dodgers locker room. Plus, they got their own weight room and batting cage and made it 50% larger than it had been before. Because beforehand, the Dodgers had to share the weight room with the visiting team, if you could believe that.
And now they both have their own room.
Yep.
Yeah, I was in that Dodger clubhouse back in 1998 before a game against the Cardinals. And, I didn't have any reference point, no perspective to know whether it was big or small or what have you. I just remember thinking, wow, I'm in the Dodgers clubhouse before a game. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking so much about cramped or not, thinking more about how amazing it was.
Oh yeah, I mean it is blue heaven, and it's been one of the better kept up modern ballparks, and it's kind of hard to believe it's the third oldest stadium in Major League Baseball, only behind Wrigley Field as well as Fenway Park.
Yeah,
and those are two great parks.
Especially since both of those stadiums are so incredibly old in relation to everything else. It's hard to believe that Dodger Stadium would be third, and those two are, 50, 60 years older than Dodger Stadium?
Yeah, Fenway Park is 1918? In actually 1912, so 1912. It's about 112 years old, I think. 112
years old, yeah. And Wrigley was what, 19?
Yeah, I think that was 1914 maybe, or 1918. I can't remember. It's somewhere
it was
Wrigley
that was 1918 and Fenway is 1912. But, I mean, yeah, they're both well over 100 years old now. And then, Dodger Stadium's about half that age.
Yeah, it's 62.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is exactly, huh? So, yeah, it does look good. And it's wild when you think about how many stadiums were built after Dodger Stadium that have since been torn down already because they got old.
Yeah, especially those cookie-cutter, round, multi-purpose stadiums in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, St. Louis.
Yeah. Riverfront Stadium.
Riverfront.
Yep, the last of the I don't know if it was the last of them, but the Coliseum up there in Oakland was the last one that sort of fit that same mold.
Yeah, I mean, the Coliseum wasn't too bad until they added that horrible-looking addition when the Raiders came back that people call Mount Davis. And the first time I saw it in person, I thought, gosh, a 6-year-old could have done a better job at doing this than – this is ugly. It just – I didn't know else to say. My jaw just dropped about how terrible it looked.
Yeah, I went to an A's game there one time while all that was while the Raiders were playing there. And the A's, of course, were drawing about 3,000 people to a game. And so you had this incredibly empty, big concrete building with that, whatever that was, out in center field for, it housed all their luxury boxes and whatnot, but boy, was it a monstrosity.
Oh, I went there about 7 years ago for the first time to a game. My buddy Dre and I took the Megabus, which is a European company, and if you buy enough in advance, it's $1 each way from L.A. to Oakland. And it was a long day trip. I enjoyed it, but then it's like, man, yeah, this stadium has no charm whatsoever. It's just I don't feel close to the action. Like a Dodger Stadium, there's no bad seat. Every seat you sit in, you can see the entire field of play. And then, at Fenway and Wrigley, you hear the crack of the bat, and you just feel in baseball paradise. Like when I touched the Green Monster about 18 years ago, I felt like I had died and gone to baseball heaven. But, Oakland Coliseum was the exact opposite. And it just probably the most exciting thing about the night was the fact that our bus was late in getting us back home because there was some engine trouble, so they fixed it before they came out to get us. But
quite a night, huh?
Yeah, it was quite a night. And the thing is, the bus driver's just like, he says, look, folks, there was some engine trouble we had to get fixed right now because we don't want to break down in the middle of nowhere. So then people were calmed down after that. But I think they're also happy just to have the bus and just be able to finally go to sleep.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, different ball. I'm trying to see a ball game in every major league stadium in the next couple of years. I've been to about 20. 5 of them are no longer in existence, so I've got about another, I don't know, 10 to 15 left on the bucket list there. But it's
That's
always
cool
to see, and I'll also try the different cuisine in the different towns as well.
Yeah, you've got. I don't remember the exact number, but you're ahead of me. I think I've been to 11 or 12 stadiums, including several where I went to an old one and a new one. So I've been to the third oldest one in Arlington, and then the one that was built in the mid '90s and torn down a couple of years ago when they built another new one. So I went to both of the ones in the '90s, and
wow,
but not the current one.
Oh goodness!
Been to 2 different stadiums in San Diego, the new one, and also Qualcomm. I've been to both stadiums in San Francisco. Where else? Dodgers, Angels. Been to Yankee Stadium a few times, Cleveland. So yeah, I've been to. It's been good. I'd love to go to all of them too. I haven't quite made it a specific goal, but I'll take the opportunity to go to a baseball game anywhere, anytime. I've been to a few here in Eugene. They've got a high A team here, and which is unfortunately a Giants affiliate.
Oh no,
that's the way it goes. And I've been to a few minor league games around the area, and in Louisville, Kentucky, Nashville. That was a lot of fun, minor league baseball.
It is, yeah. My buddy Dre and I took the trip to the Albuquerque Isotopes Stadium. That's where the longtime affiliate of the Dodgers when they were the Dukes, and then again the Isotopes for a while. I forget where exactly their AAA is now located. I'm drawing a blank on that one. I think it might be in
who's that? The Dodgers?
Yeah, the Dodgers. Is it Oklahoma or?
Yeah, it's Oklahoma City.
That's right.
Tulsa's their AA.
And so I haven't been to those, but it was fun at Isotopes Park, and we went to the Sandia Mountains during the day, and the Indian Navajo Museum. So, and then just trying some of the cuisine, like the hatch chilies and all the foods that you get. Just you can't beat it. In Philadelphia, we went to Pat's King of Steaks. We were going to go to Geno's 2 days later, but then Hurricane Isabel hit, and so we had to stay back in our hotel, which was in Elkton, Maryland. So we never got to go to Geno's, and then we get back and they say, oh, Pat's and Geno's, that's the touristy thing. The best one is Tony Luke's or Steve's Prince of Steaks. And so I was like, oh, doggone it. But
yeah, I don't think I've been to any of those places.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. My favorite actually was in Boston, the steak tip sandwich, which they had grilling outside Fenway Park, because that place is just it's a festival before the game. And they even sold some toilet paper that had the NY logo on it for the Yankees. They even had bumper stickers that they were selling that said Johnny Damon sold out. Because Damon said, yeah, I'm a free agent, but I definitely will never sign with the Yankees. And then sure enough, he signs with the Yankees. Give him all the dough. Yeah, it was fun. I'd love to do that again.
Yeah, I've never been to a game at Wrigley or Fenway. I've been there twice, but in the off season both times. So the best I could do was sort of take a walk around the neighborhood and enjoy it. Boy, there's some real ghosts at Fenway that I was just sort of thrilled to be standing on the other side of the fence from where they played.
Oh yeah,
Ted Williams, George Sisler, and Tris Speaker, Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, all of those guys were playing there back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people forget that they had a couple of championships with Babe Ruth as pitcher.
In 1916, he set some records and beat the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yeah. And then a bunch of other players as well. I mean, there was a player named Jack Barry, not to be confused with the game show host, and he won with both the Philadelphia Athletics as well as the Boston Red Sox, and later won a championship as the coach of a college baseball team. So that was a name I'd never really heard before, and so it's just amazing what you got there. And not to mention the Red Sox have won 4 championships in the last 20 years. Well, actually,
right,
over a 15-year period. So not only did they break the curse of the Bambino, but they buried it and put it in a deep, deep grave.
Yeah, they buried it. They buried it well, didn't they?
Sure did.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the Cubbies 8 years ago broke the curse of the Billy Goat. Although I remember a couple of years before they did, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal that asked the question, do the Cubbies really have the curse of Wrigley Field? Because they said that when they won their previous World Series in 1908, they were not yet at Wrigley Field. Yet since they've moved to Wrigley Field, they've not won a World Series. And the Billy Goat curse didn't come till about 1945, which was almost 37 years after they'd won the previous championship.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that they won in 2016, and so it's all over.
Yeah, exactly.
whatever it was, right? Whatever it was. Now it's the Cleveland Guardians, nay Indians, who get to experience the longest drought in the history of Major League Baseball in terms of getting a World Series champion.
That's right, and they've come so close a couple times the last couple of years, and just keep on missing that. Makes me wonder: will the name change benefit them, or will it hurt them even more?
Oh, I don't know how it could do either. It's just a name.
That's true.
But, probably 95, though. They had that great team in 95. They just happened to come up against the Atlanta Braves, who, that was the Braves' only World Series champion in that huge, long run of great Braves teams that won the division for something like 14 straight years.
That's right.
Pretty sure 95 was the only World Series championship for the Braves, and that they beat the Indians at the time, who had like Albert Bell and Jim Thome and Manny Ramirez, Kenny Lofton. Their second baseman was wonderful as well, and I'm drawing a blank on his name, but Carlos Baerga.
That's right.
And Omar Vizquel was their shortstop. I mean, it literally was an all-star team, and they had a great team, but the Braves were just a little bit better that year for the World Series anyway.
And that gave the Braves their first ever World Series in Atlanta. They had won several in Boston and then one in Milwaukee when Hank Aaron was in one of his first years in the majors. And that was the only World Series that Aaron ever won in his 23 years playing. That was
Milwaukee in 1957.
Yeah, and then
they beat the Yankees.
Then the Braves finally won a World Series again in 2021. They're second in Atlanta, but it's kind of like it's funny how Hank Aaron and Willie Mays kind of parallel one another in the sense that they both only won one World Series each, both in their original city they played in. And then Aaron played for the Milwaukee/Atlanta Braves from 1954 to 1974. Then his final 2 seasons, he was back in Milwaukee with the Brewers.
Yep.
Willie Mays started with the New York Giants, which became San Francisco Giants. In his final 2 seasons, he played for the New York Mets.
Yep, went back to where he came. Yeah, I always thought that was interesting about both of them as well. Seeing Mays in a Mets uniform and Aaron in a Brewers uniform, though, that was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it was poetic, but it was also like heartbreaking, Oh,
yeah. I know the Brewers retired Aaron's number. I guess, not only because he was a Hall of Famer, but also since he played for so many years in Milwaukee that, it was a nice tribute to him. I'm not sure if the Mets retired Mays' number. I don't remember about that.
If they didn't, that'd be kind of a travesty, because for the exact same reason you just said.
Yeah, let me check and see. I think they may have. In fact, in '72, Willie Mays was with the Mets, and I think the Mets were projected to win that year. Let's see. Yeah, the Mets did retire as number 24. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Good. And they won. They went to the World Series in '73.
Mm-hmm. They lost to the Oakland Athletics, in fact, which.
Yeah, the first of 3 years in a row. Oh no, the second of 3 years in a row for the A's.
Oh yeah, I mean, Reggie Jackson, Raleigh Fingers, Bert Campaneris, Catfish Hunter. I know I'm skipping some names.
Joe Rudy, Gene Tennis, Sal Bando. Yeah, great teams. I don't think their catcher was also. I'm drawing a blank on him though right now. Vida Blue.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Was part of that team. Ken Holtzman was in there as well. Yeah, great team. But check this out about the Mets. I discovered this a couple of years ago, and it continues to boggle my mind. So I know they went to the World Series and won it in '69. We know that was the year of the amazing Mets. But if you start with their 1973 World Series appearance, their next appearance was 13 years later, 1986. Their next World Series appearance was 14 years later in the year 2000. And their next one after that was 15 years later in 2015. So this is a pattern now that has been going on for more than 50 years, more than half a century, and it leads me to believe that the next time the Mets will be in the World Series will be 2031, because that will then have been 16 years after their last appearance.
Wow.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, there we go.
I mean, isn't that something?
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Been going on for 50-plus years, 51 years now, that pattern, and it's played out all that time. So, anyways, as you can tell, I love baseball. I'll talk baseball all day with anyone who wants to. You know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I love talking baseball too as well. And I guess none of the radio stations you worked for carried any baseball games, is my guess. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, depending on the music station is concerned.
No, none of them.
Our guest is Jim Nelson. We've been talking about the great American pastime. And next time we'll get back to radio. And how did Jim meet and get to work with BC, Bob Coburn we're talking about, as well as a couple of other classic rock greats. We'll talk about that next time.